CNN News 18 with me, Ayushman Singh Jambal. The twists and turns continue in the investigation into the Bollywood and Sandalwood drug cartels. We'll get you all the updates on the show. But first, the headlines. The NCB widens the probe into the Bollywood drug cartel. 5 locations raided in Goa and Mumbai. Designer Simone Khambata and actor Rakulpreet Singh under the scanner after Ria's call records show multiple conversations between them. The Enforcement Directorate will investigate money laundering in the Sandalwood drugs case. Kannada film industry bigwigs will be summoned for questioning. The custody of Kannada actors Ragini Dwivedi and Sanjana Galrani has been extended till Monday. Hopes of de-escalation via dialogue. Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi calls for a complete withdrawal of personnel and equipment from the front lines. Says both sides have reached a consensus to restore peace and stability. COVID behavior fatigue is causing the virus to spread, says AIIMS Director Randeep Guleria in an exclusive interview to CNN News 18, as that a bigger challenge lies ahead of the festive season. As India unlocks pre-COVID air travel numbers will be back by December 31st, 2020, says Aviation Minister Hardeep Puri in an exclusive interview to CNN News 18. Our top story, the NCB investigation into the Bollywood drug cartel just keeps getting bigger. NCB conducted raids at 5 locations in Goa and Mumbai. There will be a high-level meeting at the NCB office in Mumbai regarding the court proceedings and further course of action. NCB will be preparing its next strategy to probe the 25 Bollywood actors linked to the drug trade. Officials say they are not under any pressure. The big fish are still out there. We're joined by Herman Gomes and Shilpa Ratnam on this story. Herman, I'll come to you first. What more are you learning from your NCB sources?
Well, Ayushman, yes, good morning. What we're given to understand is that these raids are being conducted at 5 different places in Mumbai as well as in Goa. What we are looking at is probably raids being conducted not at peddlers who could be arrested, but rather the drug suppliers, the middlemen as well as the larger fish is what we're told. Yes, they do have certain links to Bollywood. We do not know exactly as to what at this point in time. And definitely some indirect link to Ria Chakravarti is what, according to NCB sources. Now, Ayushman, you would recollect the strategy. What I understand here would be that 25 names are already under the scan of the NCB from Bollywood. Now, they would be issued summons shortly is what we are given to understand over a phased manner. When the 5 peddlers were picked up, initially, the first arrests that were made by the NCB, based upon their confession, Shavik Chakravarti, Samuel Miranda, as well as Ria Chakravarti were called in for questioning. And it was, in fact, the confession of these particular peddlers that had led to their arrest, subsequent arrest. Now, in this particular case, too, one could see that if arrests are being made in the big fish are being arrested, will they give out certain names? And if those names are given, they will be matched along with the 25 names that are already under the scan of the NCB, and based upon which it will decide to then summon them, and what could also lead to their likely arrest later on. But this is still at an investigative stage. We do know at this point at least that 5 raids being conducted. It will be very important to see what are the seizures also made and in what quantity. In case if it is in commercial quantity, it could definitely spell trouble. It could also mean that these are not just your regular peddlers, but rather suppliers or part of the bigger cartel that the NCB is now focused on so far unearthing here in Mumbai as well as in Goa.
Shilpa, on that note, is there any indication who are these Bollywood bigwigs who are under this NCB scanner?
Well, the NCB has been completely tight-lipped. They haven't mentioned it in their remand copy as well. They do want to keep the details under wraps so as to not tip them off. It was also a reason why they wanted to keep Ria Chakrabarti in custody so that these celebrities are not tipped off. But we do know that Sara Ali Khan is under the scanner. Ria Chakrabarti has made some serious allegations against her. And as my colleague and you had mentioned, Simone Khambata, the designer, and Rakulpreet Singh are are also under the scanner because of multiple calls made by Riya Chakrabarti. But apart from these, there are many other stars, and the NCB has not told us who these stars are. They do want to keep as much secrecy as possible so as to not tip them off. They're at high flight risk, so they do want to issue these summons as soon as possible, but after corroborating testimonies so that they have ample proof and evidence. Back to you.
More breaking news in the probe into the Bollywood drug cartel. Now, CNN News 18 has accessed the call data records of Riya Chakrabarti, which show multiple calls between her and fashion designer Simone Khambata and actor Rakulpreet Singh. Both are under the NCB scanner, but no summons have been issued so far. Herman Gomes continues to be with us on the story. Herman, can you explain Simone Khambata and Rakulpreet Singh's role or their position in this wider drug nexus?
Well, Ayushman, so far a total of 46 calls, I beg your pardon, have been made between Rakulpreet Singh, Simone Khambata, as well as Riya Chakrabarti. These were under the scanner. From what we are gathering from the NCB is that there were certain sort of drug chats that were too involved, which is the basis upon which they are coming under the scanner. At this point, what is the exact role is not known. It is not yet known whether they were consuming drugs or whether they were sort of procuring it to be sold otherwise, whether they were involved in the commercial trade of it, because they in a way also have a certain sort of clout, if one may call it so, within Bollywood. That is not yet clear, whether they were selling it or whether they were procuring it for their own personal consumption is not yet known. But definitely under the scanner, no formal summons have been issued yet. And as I was saying earlier, Ayushman, from what we are gathering is that the current raids that are ongoing of the NCB, that will actually throw a lot of light. It is believed that in case if arrests are made, and which is a very strong likelihood, they will in fact could be naming certain Bollywood names, some big actors as well as certain sort of producers. And that in fact will be a basis for them to issue summons for questioning. As far as now it is concerned, what we are told is that it will be done in a phased manner because there are 25 names. There's a special investigative team of the NCB that has been set up particularly only to look at this drug angle in Bollywood, these 25 names. There is also, as Shilpa was mentioning, there is a security risk also involved in this particular case because there are several eyewitnesses also involved. So whether once summons are issued, whether they will have to be present at the NCB office or whether their statement will be recorded in another secretive place, that is not yet known, but that is also a very strong possibility.
Thank you, Herman and Shilpa, for that update as the NCB expands its probe into the Bollywood drug cartel. Now shifting focus to the Sandalwood drug investigation. The investigation into the Karnataka drug racket now just keeps getting bigger and bigger. The Enforcement Directorate has now registered a case under the Prevention of Money Laundering Act. The agency is expected to expand the investigation. Many bigwigs of the Kannada film industry will also be summoned for questioning. Actress Ragini Dwivedi has been sent to police custody till Monday in connection with the case. This comes just a day after Congress claimed that the accused arrested over the 1200 kg drug haul was a BJP leader. BJP, however, hit back, saying the party has nothing to do with the suspect. High drama ensued at the Bengaluru crime branch yesterday, where Sanjana Galrani claimed it's her fundamental right not to give a sample, whereas Dwivedi tried to spike her urine sample by mixing water into it. Both the actors later submitted samples for a hair follicle test. Now let's get you an overview where the investigation stands so far into the Sandalwood drug cartel. what we are learning so far is that actor Sanjana fell to the officer's feet to let her go. That position continues from both the actors, that they have nothing to do with this case and they are completely innocent. Ragini Dwivedi tried to spike her urine test and mix water into it to mislead the investigation. Why is she doing that? What does she have to hide? Those questions still need to be answered. Now the ED has started a probe under the Prevention of Money Laundering Act because there is a foreign link that is emerging to this case where drugs were procured from abroad. Now the ED will question politicians and film celebs. More names continue to tumble out of the closet as this case expands, and the bail plea has been pushed to September 14 because the grilling will continue to expand to understand the extent of this drug racket as more names of bigwigs from the Kannada film industry and the political class continue to tumble out. This case just keeps getting bigger and bigger, and plus the actors who are under the scanner, Sanjana Galrani and Ragini Dwivedi, are not cooperating with the authorities so far. We saw those visuals from the CCB HQ which showed that they refused to give samples, and they were saying that it was their fundamental right not to give samples. And Ragini Dwivedi also spiked her urine sample in order to mislead the investigation. The police custody of both the actors and other accused has been extended till September 14th. A total number of arrests in the Sandalwood drug case now stands at 9. According to the CCB, Prateek is a techie from Bengaluru and was nabbed based on the confession from Ragini Dwivedi's friend Ravi Shankar. Aditya, who was arrested, has also from Haryana, is an associate of Viren Khanna. Now, Khanna used to organize parties where drugs were allegedly consumed. He was arrested by the CCB on September 4th from Delhi. The CCB has also asked Bengaluru-based businessman Prashant Sambargi to share information on the drug nexus in the Kannada film industry. Now, filmmaker and journalist Indrajit Lankesh, while giving his statement to the CCB on the Kannada film industry drug scandal, also claimed that at least 15 people in the industry were involved in the drug trade. We're joined by Revati Rajivan on this story. Revati, with the PMLA case, what foreign angle is the ED investigating?
Well, Viren Khanna, the person who was arrested from Delhi, the person who was organizing events, who is accused in this case, who has allegedly links with the sandalwood industry in this whole drug mafia. When there was search conducted at his residence, currency notes of foreign countries, of around 10 countries were found, and that is where the ED actually came in, and the ED has got in touch with the CCB officials for more details, and that is where the case of this foreign connection begins as far as Viren Khanna and those foreign currency note goes. Secondly, in the beginning, Rahul, the other accused, also friend of Sanjana Galrani, he is also said to have connections in Sri Lanka. Also, there are links to casinos in Sri Lanka that the accused have. Frequent trips that Rahul was making to the neighboring country as well. So, these two are the major connections, foreign connections that are emerging. And as far as the ED case goes, it is these foreign currencies that they have found of at least around 10 countries from Viren Khanna's residence that has led to the ED sort of sniffing into this case and also getting details from the CCB officials. So, that will be taken forward. Now, today, the development that is expected is at around 10 a.m. Prashant Sambargi has been asked to come to the CCB office. He is a distributor and he is somebody who is claimed to know the links of sandalwood industry to this whole drug racket. He is the one who made statements saying that he does have details of who is connected with what and how this whole drug racket is linked to sandalwood industry. Remember, this is the second person from within the industry who is coming out and making these statements. Earlier, Indrajit Lankesh, the filmmaker, had also said that he had details of around 10 to 15 people who were links to this drug racket, and he was also called for questioning. This is the second such person who is coming in for questioning. Also, remember, Prashant Sambargi is the one who had also made allegations that Congress leader Zamir Ahmed is also linked to this case. Several people who are associated with this drug racket had been present in a party that was hosted by Congress leader Zamir Ahmed is an allegation that he has put forward as well. While Zamir Ahmed has denied this allegation, he has also filed a case against Prashant Sambargi. But Prashant has been called for questioning today at the CCB, where he is expected to give those details, where he is claiming that he does know the links between the drug racket as well as the sandalwood industry.
Thank you, Revati, for that update. Now we shift focus to the standoff at the line of actual control.
asked and expressed concern over the amassing of troops with ammunition on the LAC.
Status quo, no activity along the line of actual control last night, but it is tensed still.
Latest in the LAC standoff, sources say the status quo continues at the LAC for the third night. Both sides continue to hold positions at heights above 15,000 feet, but there is no escalation so far. There's a visible reduction in the number of air sorties over Ladakh. Assessment on the ground is still till the proposed talks on the 17th situation would be the status quo. That is what local commanders from both sides seem to indicate to each other. Meanwhile, the Chief of Defence Staff, General Bipin Rawat, told the Parliament Standing Committee on Defence that India's armed forces are ready for any eventuality. We're joined by Arunima, who's reporting from Ladakh. Arunima, can you explain to us the challenges of continuing this standoff as winter nears?
See, for the last 3 nights now, actually 4 nights, at a height of 15,000 feet plus at the north bank of Pangong Lake, our soldiers have been holding on to positions. I was trying to just take a feel of the mountains here. It's very sandy, it's very difficult to put your step. You don't get a toe hold when you're trying to climb up, and that is the least of the challenges. The other challenges are lack of oxygen, you become breathless. If you're talking also, you can feel the strain on your lungs because the oxygen supply is so low. Then there is the winter chill. Sub-zero temperature we know, but temperatures of -20, -25 degrees already hitting those peaks. So those are big challenges, and I think the good thing is that for 3-4 nights now, there has been no incident along the line of actual control. Both sides are holding on to their positions, but there has been no escalation. So that is, I think, in a way, some relief for our soldiers.
And Arunima, could we see this kind of maintenance of the status quo as a sort of a partial breakthrough of the talks at the SCO summit, where both sides said that they want to maintain peace and tranquility at the LAC?
Assessment of the commanders on ground is that till the time the corps commander level talks happen, I think the proposed date of talks is the 17th. So till that time, there could be status quo. The assessment here is that external affairs ministers of both sides, S. Jaishankar is likely to come back to Delhi today, Wang Yi likely to return to Beijing, and then they will brief their political leadership about how the talks went. Details that are not in the public domain, those details will also be shared, and then the message will go to the corps commanders, the commanders on the ground, who will then take the talk forwards. So the assessment here is that till that time, there could be status quo. Both sides would want to maintain peace as it is holding in the last 3 nights, but that does not mean that either side is letting go of the position that they are holding. Both sides are holding on to the heights that they have managed to capture.
Thank you, Arunima, for that update. Arunima reporting from Ladakh, the epicenter of that face-off between India and China. Now shifting our focus to the rising corona cases across the country. India's corona count continues to mount. For a month, India has been recording the highest number of new cases across the globe. India is registering nearly 1 lakh cases and over 1,000 deaths per day in the month of September. The recently conducted Sero survey by the ICMR shows that over 64 lakh Indians were infected by May. Speaking to CNN News 18, AIMS Director Dr. Randeep Guleria termed the upcoming festive season as a major challenge in curbing the spread, saying that some parts of India were witnessing a second wave. He went on to add that for one infected case, there were 80 to 120 positive cases which went undetected back in May.
What is your initial assessment of what is happening right now in the country? Do you reckon that this is a second wave?
Yes, to some extent, this is a second wave in certain cities because many of the metros have seen a decrease in number of cases, and we had come down to a significant decrease as far as Delhi was also concerned. But there's been a resurgence of cases, and we're seeing numbers which we had seen during the peak as far as the month of June and July were concerned. So there is a second wave occurring in some parts of the country.
Is it because, there's the easing of restrictions has come up, people are roaming around, many of them without masks, so certainly not paying as much attention or importance to wearing masks and social distancing? Is that why we're seeing a resurgence of cases?
Yes, so it's multifactorial. One is, like you said, that there is the opening up and the decrease in the lockdown has been also associated with what I would say is sort of COVID behavioral fatigue. People have actually now, after having spent months under lockdown and with a lot of restraints, have actually reached a stage where they're becoming more and more fatigued. And you see this as you go out. We are back to crowds, traffic jams, and people not wearing masks. And remember, the seroprevalence that was done by ICMR showed that there was still a large number of our population which is susceptible to the infection. And with all of this happening, it is actually allowing the virus to spread more rapidly, and in the cases, therefore, has suddenly started rising where they were showing a downward trend.
We now get you news from around the country. After 7 days, China's army will hand over 5 missing youths from Arunachal Pradesh to the Indian authorities in the Lohit Valley of the state today at 9:30 a.m. Media frenzy on the Indigo flight boarded by Kangana Ranaut is under the DGCA scanner. The airline yesterday submitted its report to the airline body saying all norms and protocols were followed. Videos of the 9th September flight from Chandigarh to Mumbai with Kangana Ranaut aboard went viral, showing media personnel jostling and flouting anti-COVID norms. A UK court is hearing the extradition plea of the fugitive diamond merchant Nirav Modi. Former Supreme Court Judge Markandeya Katju has testified in favour of him, saying that he is being made a scapegoat, adding that he would be convicted without a fair trial if extradited to India. In the second phase of unlocking public transport, Charter, a contactless e-ticketing mobile application, has been used across 320 buses in Delhi. Delhi Transport Minister Kailash Gehlot says that he is hopeful of using the app to book tickets across all the buses in Delhi NCR in the next month. A Mumbai court has rejected the bail plea of Riya Chakraborty and her brother and 4 others in the Bollywood drug nexus case. The actress has been lodged in Mumbai's Baikula jail. The lawyers of the actress will now approach the High Court on Monday to challenge the court's decision. In a shocking incident, a veteran of the Indian Navy was attacked by Shiv Sena goons in Maharashtra yesterday. He was allegedly beaten up for sharing a cartoon on WhatsApp. The cartoon mocked Uddhav Thackeray, Sharad Pawar and Sonia Gandhi. A complaint has been filed and an FIR has been registered regarding the matter. Authorities have busted a major international drug module. Over 6.5 kilograms of heroin, 5.1 kilograms of hash and other banned narcotics were seized in a comprehensive crackdown on the drug cartel. 7 people have been arrested and an investigation is underway. That's all we have to pack in on the show. But before we leave, get the big picture from news events only on Money Control Pro. Get exclusive research, sharpest opinions and much more at 1 rupee a day and claim exclusive benefits worth 15,000 rupees. Last 4 days to avail this offer. Use the code Freedom365. Subscribe now.